free. You can tap away, but I will not hear you scream. You can break the keys, spread your toxicity, your world outside reality. In your room, a little hideaway, but you let it through. Enough to go insane, living in the dark hasn't treated you well. You're building your own prison cell. Hate, rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Did I brush you off? Is it your lack of friends? We never met, even if you pretend. Am I in your debt? I don't owe you nothing. Don't say something you'll regret. Hate, rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Hate, rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it. I'm telling you, don't waste it. Lies telling you, don't waste it on me.
Okay, live.
Few more seconds. Hello, gamers from around the world. This is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of The World of Gaming, your #1 podcast where we discuss everything that happened in gaming this week. And today we don't have a camera on you, Dutch,
No.
but still big welcome. How you doing, my man?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah, no camera today, but we are podcasting again with a dual stream with World of Gaming and Midweek Mix Up. So we're going to get into the topics and have some fun.
Absolutely, we will. Absolutely, we will. And yeah, let me also welcome our awesome community. I see a lot of familiar names. I'm very bad in welcoming them personally in chat while hosting here. So apologies. I will hopefully get to all of you. But yeah, I want to start with something that I usually forget, and I feel kind of bad that I do. And that is say a big thank you to our moderators here in the chat. I know you have in your chat as well a couple of awesome people keeping the chat clean, and so do I here in the world of gaming. So
Yeah.
big shout out to you guys. We don't thank you often enough for keeping the chat a safe space and a clean space for everyone, because everyone should feel welcome here. discuss with us gaming. And so yeah, a big thank you to those moderators out there. I already see Pyro and Sith Lord in the chat being the mods, and yeah, need to shout out you guys. But yeah, we have a couple of really cool topics to discuss. Of course, the big news happened actually last week, a day after our podcast last week. ABK officially joined Team Xbox. Just as expected, last week Friday, they closed the deal literally 2 hours after the CMA finally gave their okay to do so. And the same day they dropped the trailer, they announced that they closed the deal, because obviously, yeah, they had the paperwork and everything prepared, and it was literally just a signature to do that. And so yeah, we will talk, of course, about that. But following up on that, the other day, yesterday, Phil Spencer actually came on the official Xbox podcast and gave a 45-minute interview on the entire thing and what we can expect in certain spaces. And we definitely will dive into some of his statements and what we can expect from this deal, and of course with the future of Xbox and ABK. So we will dive into that. And then Dutch, I don't know if you've seen this, but there was a massive leak this week on the Sony side. Basically, the entire specs of the PS5 Pro that is supposed to come out next year leaked, and we will definitely dive into that and discuss whether the upgrades are worthy enough or not. And there were a lot of other things to talk about. And yeah, so but before we start with that, Dutch, I'm gonna put on some gameplay from the game I've been playing. But what have you been playing? What kept you busy? And also, I want to know from everyone in the chat, from our awesome community, what you guys have been playing. So let us know in the chat. Yeah, Dutch, what kept you busy?
Yeah, so I've just been playing still more Starfield, still going through that. So I've just put a little bit of older Starfield gameplay on here.
You're already in New Game Plus, or you're still?
No, I'm still doing the story at the minute. I'm not too far off the end of the main story. I'm kind of rushing through into New Game Plus now, and then a New Game Plus I'm going to just relax and build. I haven't built an outpost or anything yet, so I'm going to do that on New Game Plus, and then I'm going to build one ship that I'm going to use on New Game Plus, and then I'm just going to relax a bit and do all my proper exploring on New Game Plus with increased powers and whatnot. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Starfield, and apart from when my internet went out last night, completely went off until like 6 o'clock this morning. So that curtailed playing a lot of things. But I've been playing Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty as well.
And, nice. How is it, man?
That's absolutely awesome. Like that's especially the first. I played about 2 hours or so, and that first 2 hours of Phantom Liberty are just like insane. The boss battle and things at the beginning is just nuts. But it's just everything you love about Cyberpunk, but better. Like it's just
how does it start? Does it actually start as like kind of separate thing, or do you have to go?
No, you get it as soon as you start your loaded game from wherever you are. If you're at the end of a game, you load it up, and then you get a phone call from someone saying you need to get to Dogtown. So like, okay, fair enough. So you drive to the entrance, and you can't officially get in, and then it introduces the main character and how you get into Dogtown.
Okay.
But it was absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome, and I can't wait to play more. I've got that as my Tuesday game. So, of course, we know with it being an expansion, it's not going to be ultra long. So I'm glad I'm not kind of just playing it every day. Otherwise, I'd have it finished within like the week. So, I'm just playing that on Tuesdays. So I'm looking forward to getting into it again next time. So I've got through to the part where I'm now. I can't explain it without spoiling the story, but now I've got to the part where I'm able to collect missions in Dogtown and do a little bit of just exploring of Dogtown to see what that's like before I get a call to continue with the story. So that's awesome. And of course, a smidge of motorsport in between playing Starfield and
And Cyberpunk.
yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I have been holding on with Phantom Liberty because it literally came out in between Starfield and Baldur's Gate and then Assassin's Creed Mirage and everything, and I knew I would just rush through it, and I want to give it a proper time because I absolutely loved Cyberpunk, the base game.
Well,
I know
the stream that because I had a stream of the opening 2 hours of Phantom
Yeah.
Liberty on Twitch, and Daz and Stu both, who don't have Cyberpunk, were sitting there absolutely loving it. And I think both of them were looking to pick that game up at some point because of what they saw on Phantom Liberty. So
Yeah.
it was an absolute blast. I think you're gonna love it when you play it. It's just
I have no doubt.
non-stop action,
No
that
doubt.
opening sequence.
But it's just too busy, and I know I would rush through it, and I want to give it really like full attention, and now I have Spider-Man preloaded already, and so yeah, I'm gonna wait until like December or so when things slow down a little bit. But yeah, I hear nothing but great things, and I love to hear that you are enjoying it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see what people in the chat are playing. Thanaros has been playing Sega Genesis Classics Collection, Sonic Frontiers, and Starfield. Nice, man. I haven't dived into the Sega Genesis Classic Collection too much yet, but I hear it's supposed to be very good. Drawn TJ plays Call of Duty, Halo, Starfield, and Forza. Call of Duty is that? Did you play the beta? Have you tried the Modern Warfare 3 beta?
No, I usually leave up to Pat to let us know whether or not it's good.
Yeah, no. I haven't played it either. So Pyro Matt has been playing Gotham Knights, and he's now starting Like a Dragon, Ishin.
Yeah, I need to download that as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't. That's not for me, but I do hope you will enjoy it, man. But Gotham Knights, yeah, that's in Game Pass now, dude. And I think it is highly underrated. I know it's not a Arkham game, yeah, and it's not trying to be one, but I felt like this was highly underrated simply for the fact that it is 30 FPS on console, which is a bummer. I get it, but the game itself is a lot of fun, man. Especially playing as Red Hood. If you max level him out, you're really, really a badass. So yeah, Sith Lord has been playing Call of Duty, Halo, Doom, and all under one roof. That's cool. Bellantone has been playing Hades, Starfield, Vampire Survivor, Cocoon, and Forza. That's a long playlist, bro. But you can never go wrong with Hades. Decado has been playing Diablo 4. Yeah, bro, I need to get back into Season 2. It's apparently really good. Like, they fixed the loot drop ratio, so a lot more rewarding, apparently. And the actual season is apparently also really fun. There are new kind of world events or boss events going on that I hear a lot of great things about. So
yeah. We've got a couple of hours as well. Ninja Squirrel's playing Forza Motorsport, Starfield, and Yakuza Like a Dragon Ishin. And Steve is playing Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Yeah, I have finished that. I will talk about that in a second. Painful Discourse has finished Armored Core 6. Nice. I played that at Gamescom, but I haven't bought it yet. See Black Rider is playing Starfield, Soma, and The Long Dark. That's cool. That's very cool. So I hope I didn't forget anyone. If so, apologies. But yeah, man, I have finished Assassin's Creed Mirage on Monday or Tuesday this week. I put on some gameplay somewhere from the mid part of the game. Try to not capture too many spoilers there, but yeah, I mean, I'm a little torn. While I do like that they are going back to more like the roots of Assassin's Creed, with not being super open world. I mean, it's still open world-ish. Like, you have the entire city, you can explore freely, and you can do side quests and still level up your character. It's definitely more linear than like Odyssey or Valhalla or so.
Yeah.
And this is kind of refreshing. And they really improved upon the stealth. The stealth felt really great, but the combat, actually not. They made it a lot worse. And I mean a lot. While you could still argue about Valhalla, but at least you had like the feeling of being a fighter. And I know that they are not setting up the story of Basim here. They are not setting him up as like this warrior, and I get that. Still, you could have made the combat a lot better, because there are simply certain sections where you have to fight. Like, the story kind of forces you to fight. You can't play certain sections stealth, and then it just feels awful. And honestly, the story is very, very, very forgettable. I like that they removed the like modern day storyline like entirely. There's nothing in there where you wake up from the animus and are in the modern day era. It's nothing of that is in there, which I kind of like, because I felt in Valhalla and even Odyssey that this was like forced. Because they put it in there because it kind of has to be in an Assassin's Creed game. But there was really no benefit to this modern day world story. You woke up in the modern day era, walked around like a cabin or something, read an email, and then you're back to the actual game. Like, just remove that shit. They did that, which is good. So there are good and bad things about the game. But really, the story is absolutely forgettable. There are some cool stealth missions that I really enjoyed. So overall, I think I gave it an 8 or 8.2 or something, which is, I would probably recommend get it on sale. It's a nice get on sale. I mean, it's even if you buy it now, it's not a full price title. It's only $50, but wait for a sale, and then you will have like a good 15 to 20 hour playthrough of a more stealthy Assassin's Creed. But yeah, so I played that, finished that, and then I went back to Starfield as well, which simply is awesome. I'm now in the New Game Plus, and that's when I want to do like all the base building and stuff. And I still kind of miss my ship that I built in the first playthrough. I wish you could have taken that over, honestly. But yeah, it's really awesome to play it in New Game Plus, and you have like, I'm doing a lot of things differently now this time around. I don't know what you will do, man, once you're in New Game Plus, but I'm doing a lot of things very different than I did in my first playthrough. So yeah, still enjoying that. And then tonight Spider-Man unlocks, so we're playing that tomorrow.
Enjoy.
And over the weekend, of course. So I will. All right, Dutch. Before we dive into some actual topics, I need to shout out the first super chat of the day. Drawn TJ sends in $5 and actually asks a great question. He says, hey guys, do you think all Xbox IPs should have their own version of Forge to let gamers make maps and storyline? Well, I don't think that, or let me hear your thoughts first. Like,
what should have Forge, sorry?
Forge, the other Xbox IPs, and which ones should have that? Like something where you can create your own storyline or levels and stuff.
See, Forza Horizon already has that. So Forza Horizon's already covered. Forza Motorsport wouldn't really work. Yes, you could build tracks, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. I don't know whether or not it would work physically with what they've got going on there, building the tracks in there. Maybe Skyrim, like a Skyrim-esque game, like an Avowed or something.
think
Maybe one of
that
those.
basically has it, yeah, with the modding tools
Yeah,
that
that's
they
what I'm
provide.
saying. But not like on a consumer basis. That's more of a if you know how to basis. Whereas
Yeah,
the
I
likes
know.
of Forge and Forza Horizons creator section is very much
Yeah.
friendly for anybody to go in and make something. Like the actual modding side of Skyrim is not that way at all.
Yeah.
It's if you know how to code, great, go mod. If you don't, tough.
Yeah, that is true.
um,
That is true. Yeah.
but
It's not like
it's hard. I would
this
say though
easy editor.
maybe he's an easier modding tool for a Skyrim, so anybody could like or a Starfield for instance, where you can go on and retrofit a planet with bases and underground bunkers and things like that,
Yeah.
and put that out. So it's something that's easy to use, for the likes of a Starfield, for instance, so everybody can create and not just people who know how to mod.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think that every game would need that. There are certain games, if you think about the likes of like your Hellblades or so, where you just don't need something like that. I always wonder why Gears never really got the same kind of Forge treatment. I know Pyro in the chat said that they had the Hive mode for similar Forge experience, but it was very limited. So I wonder why they never built something similar than Forge for Gears. Obviously, it would make sense. Like, I don't think that you would need like that for every game, but there are certain games where it would be probably cool. I always wondered why State of Decay 2 never got like proper like Forge or even mod support, honestly, because I feel like letting people run wild, creating their maps and bases, outlines for that in a game like State of Decay 2 could be really cool, especially with the survival aspects and everything. So, Tron TJ sends in $2 and says, "What about Forge mode for Diablo or Call of Duty?" I mean, Call of Duty, yeah. I mean, basically every shooter, multiplayer shooter, why not? Diablo creating like own dungeons, let people go run wild with dungeon creation. You could do probably a lot of cool things there as well.
Yeah. Sin says Sea of Thieves could use a Forge and State of Decay 2.
Yeah, so with State of Decay 2, I totally agree. I don't care about Sea of Thieves, so I wouldn't know.
I mean, it's a bit. I can understand it, but I think it's especially with the new mode where they've got kind of an easy PvE thing for anybody to go in where everybody's with each other and nobody's against each other kind of mode that they've added, which of course removes some things, but it does mean it probably opens it up a little bit more to things like that where you can create your own islands, etc.
True. So yeah, there are plenty of games out there. I wish like again, it makes so much sense for those multiplayer games to just create maps. And I mean, there are plenty of games out there where you can basically create maps, but probably not with the same support as Forge. I mean, Forge really is a very easy editor to do so. I can't think from the top of my head any other game that does it that or makes it that easy. But there's a lot of games out there with user created content. However, I would love to see them do that more in like the atypical games. Like again, State of Decay comes to mind. I like the idea of TJ for Diablo, where you wouldn't expect kind of things like that. So, yeah, Great question, though. He follows up with a $5 super chat, Tron TJ. Thank you so much, man. It says, basically making it easier for the devs so they can focus on the next game or better improvements. Yeah, that's a benefit about user-created content. It really can prolong basically your lifetime of your game. Look at Skyrim. It's still being played intensively, especially on Steam, where you have this intensive mod support, and that definitely keeps your game alive, even if you have moved on as the developer or publisher to already develop the next game. So it's definitely benefit, and it's also very engaging for the community. Love it. Yeah. So yeah. Dutch, anything to add to user created content before we move to the big topic?
No, not user created content, but a shout out to Dave Ramos, who is our first donation to our charity drive this year. We haven't officially began it yet, but he has donated $20 to the charity event. So big shout out to Dave Ramos for being our first official donation for the charity drive this year.
That is awesome, man. Let people know about that.
Yeah, so we're doing a charity drive specifically for Special Effect this year. So, of course, Special Effect is a charity that transforms the lives of people with physical challenges across the world through innovative use of technology. So they're enabling inclusion and enjoyment by helping people unlock the magic of video games to the best of their abilities. They're bringing communication, independence, and hope for people in intensive care units and with severe injuries. And they're using telepresent robots to reconnect medically isolated children with their education and friends. So they do a lot to essentially help the disabled people of all ages, kids and adults, who are unable or have been unable to game due to their physical disabilities, or in some cases mental disabilities. And they do that through the means of technology. So basically helping them and reconnect them back so they can play with people. So yeah, we're doing that from the 6th of November. Just doing streams every day, and on the 11th till the 12th we're doing a 24-hour marathon stream as well. So that'll be all on Twitch and on YouTube through different creators, including Pat and Vinny and probably a few others as well, doing streams throughout the week, and including myself. And we'll be raising money for Special Effect. So Daz has kindly put the link in my chat here. But it's justgiving.com/midweek mixup is the link.
I will definitely put that link also in the description of the show right after. So for anybody looking out for that, you do that every year.
Yeah.
And very successfully so, which is fantastic, man. The entire community helps out here, and it's for a good cause, and that's awesome, man, that you guys are doing that. But yeah, let us move to some actual topics, man. So we have, like I said in the intro, last week the big ABK acquisition finally closed, and I think I'm not alone if I say I'm basically relieved that it's over. After like a year and 10 months, which is pretty long. I mean, everyone said it. It went on longer than expected, and at the end, a lot of people were simply tired. But if you think about back on this entire thing, they announced it in January 2022, and the discussions ran wild. And then we have seen the first regulators approved the deal, and everyone was like, yeah, it's going through. Then we had some setbacks, the FTC running wild. We had the big court cases where it actually became interesting again, because we learned a lot of things, about, of course, not just Sony and what they put in their contracts, but also about a lot of things, how different executives look at this, and look at Xbox and their business. And then earlier this year, we had the big setback, of course, with the CMA basically blocking the deal. And now they outsourced the cloud. They blocked it over cloud. I still can't get over this. They would have blocked it for Call of Duty. I don't know. I would still have not found it good that they did it, but I would have understood that at least to some degree, but not over cloud. But now that this is basically licensed out to Ubisoft, they were finally able to close the deal. So, yeah, man, before we dive into some things that happened over the course of the last week regarding this, what are your thoughts on this deal now finally closing? One of the biggest tech mergers ever, and definitely the biggest tech acquisition in the gaming industry. So, and what are your thoughts now that it's finally over?
Thank God for that. Is my summary. I am so glad that is done. I am so glad that is done. And we can just get to the meat and potatoes of it and, right, okay, let's start merging the companies, which is going to take months, which is part of it. And then we'll see what the plan is moving forward. But the interview had a lot of good things about what it means for consumers, and what Phil Spencer wants from the studios going forwards, and so on and so forth. So there's potential consumer benefits long term. But in the short term, we also found out quite a bit. But yeah, initial thought is just thank God this is done. I was so happy to see that the CMA had just said, yeah, it was provisionally approved, and from that point we knew it was just a matter of days until they just closed it. So thankfully that was Friday, just gone. I've had a bit to stew on it, but yeah, thank God it's over.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think a lot of people felt that way. They immediately dropped that trailer. You've seen that, man.
Yeah.
Was actually a very good trailer, well edited together, with a lot of goosebump moments. Yeah, seeing like Call of Duty in the same trailer, like Halo and Starfield, and it's just pretty awesome. But yeah, you already said it. We all kind of expected like that they do a big round table, just like they did with the Bethesda ZeniMax acquisition, where they gathered Pete Hines and Todd Howard and all those Bethesda faces, and just sat down with Aaron Greenberg and Phil Spencer and whatnot to discuss this. We didn't get that, but we did get a big interview, 45 minutes long, with Phil Spencer the other day, and he talked about a lot of things. So, yeah, man, let's get into some of those things that he discussed. Well, where to start? I mean, let us start with Game Pass drops. Man, because everyone was like, yeah, that the week after they close that deal, we will see like a lot of Game Pass drops, legacy titles come into Game Pass from Activision Blizzard King. The official account tweeted out actually last week that this is probably not gonna happen until 2024, and he basically reconfirmed that. He said it's not that easy. There is definitely work to be done to do that. So he wished he could tell people and be absolutely honest with them that this is rather sooner, and if it's possible, of course they will do it. But 24 basically sounds right. So I was wondering he didn't go into specifics. What are the differences? He literally also brought up Bethesda, where they basically immediately dropped some legacy titles. What do you think? What's the holdup? Why not release like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro or Tony Hawk or some of the very old Call of Duty titles or whatnot into Game Pass? What do you think? What's the holdup there?
I think it just depends on what licenses they've got and what ones they need to get approved, etc. First, because if you have a think of things like the likes of Tony Hawk, for instance, they'll have a few different licenses they need to get in order to, or approvals they need to get from those licenses in order to get that into Game Pass anyway. And then you have a think of the Call of Duties and their contractual terms and stuff like that, and theoretically they could put some back catalogue stuff into Game Pass, but I think they just know this year specifically there's that many things coming out and still hasn't come out already. The likes of Alan Wake is still to come out. Among several other games, you've got Spider-Man as well dropping on PlayStation recently. Yes, they could do a counter and drop a few old Call of Duties in there, but I think there's just no rush. We've seen a load of games intentionally push out of 2023 because it's just that busy and there's that many things to play, and the vast majority of people haven't caught up with playing everything that they've already bought the tail end of this year anyway. So I don't think they see it as a rush either. And I think we'll probably start seeing things. It could even be like from the off at the beginning of January, like the whole post-Christmas kind of what do you call it?
The era.
Yeah, the Boxing Day sales portion of that to kind of start pushing out Game Pass editions from Activision, and then push Game Pass even more after Christmas. And before Christmas, of course, they've just had Starfield and Motorsport, and they've got a bunch of others going into there. You've got Dead Space dropping on the 26th.
Exactly. I wanted to say that the next wave of Game Pass drops is actually pretty good. There are some really cool indie games coming, like GoesseN. Or how do you pronounce it?
GoesseN. Yeah. I think it's French, isn't it? So
French, GoesseN. My French is not really good, so apologies. But Dead Space, the remake, man. I had no chance to play that actually when it launched. Too busy at the time, so I always was like, I'm gonna get it on a sale, and then 23 was just an insane year where all these games came out. So I haven't played that yet, and it's coming to Game Pass, which is pretty awesome. Really, really big game.
Yeah, I said I was holding off on it going into Game Pass, so I'm glad I did. And it comes out just before Halloween, so I'm debating whether or not to be my Halloween stream game or play something else. We'll see.
But yeah, I do agree. I think it's probably a mix of a couple of things. I don't think that when he said there's work to be done, that he literally meant like technical work in terms of we have to do something about the code of the particular games, because I've seen people on Twitter speculate about that. Don't think that that's the case, because I think all of them are already having like an Xbox version. The work to be done is probably either related to like you said, licenses. However, I don't see that being a big issue for some of the really old games, like 5 to 10 year old Activision Blizzard games. But I also think that we kind of underestimate how much work needs to be done within Xbox now. For them, the real work begins now. The real work with the regulators was mainly a couple of executives and tons of lawyers. Yeah. But now they have to implement the organization of a publisher that is as big as Xbox and Bethesda ZeniMax combined. Xbox and Bethesda together have about 10,000 employees, and now they add another 10,000 to it. And I think this is like real work. Yeah. So just to see if you don't get into trouble and look everything up, get into trouble in terms of licenses or publishing rights or existing contracts, and how you implement the staff and everything just takes time. And I think that Bethesda was simply easier on that because they already had a very close collaboration. They knew that they keep them more independent than they intend to do with Activision Blizzard King. Bobby Kotick's out by the end of the year. They already announced that. Yeah, and that all these organizations report directly to Phil. That is a very, very different phrasing than what they used in terms of Bethesda ZeniMax and their implementation, where they said, like, yeah, they still keep their publishing arm, they still keep their, organizational structure, their HR department and so on. And that's different now. And this also ties into these releases with Game Pass, because at the very end of the day, it all takes time. So I think that's definitely one factor. And the other factor is what you also said. There's really no need to rush those games out right now, because Game Pass is killing it lately. Yeah, like with the first-party titles, Starfield, Forza, but now also with third-party drops, bigger drops like Dead Space coming now, yeah, and a bunch of indie games. And then you roll into that holiday season with Alan Wake and Avatar, and all those games are still yet to come. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff yet to come this year, big releases. So there's really no need to rush that. But then we all know that, like, around Christmas and especially in January, usually it's quiet. Starting in February again, you will get new releases coming out, but during that period of time, like, you can use those now. You don't have to drop them all in Game Pass right now. You can use them. I don't want to use the word filler, because that sounds so negative, and I don't mean it that way, but I don't know a better word for it, to just, when you have like a trial streak in Game Pass, just drop them in there. So we shall see, but don't expect any of the games coming this year. Phil was clear on that.
Quick shout out to
Chase.
I was going to say,
please,
quick shout out to Splendiferous, who drops $2 super chat there, and he says, "Brothers, I see you, and I wish you all well. Love you both." Thank you, Splendiferous.
Thank you so much, man. And Ronty J sends in a $5 super chat and says, "Now they go get the studios they are working with first, then Sega, and then 51% stake in all of Warner Brothers." Yeah. I don't think that they are going after Sega or even Warner Brothers. With Warner Brothers, I would put, actually, I know it's an unpopular opinion to have, but I would prefer Warner Brothers over Sega, simply for the fact that Sega has not published that many games in the last decade for me. I know they are big with the Yakuza. Those are not my games. I know people love them, and it's great. And even the latest Sonic games, they are nice, but not really like something where I say, "Ooh, I need that." Yeah. But then I look at Warner Brothers, and especially the IP that Warner Brothers has. But I would prefer that, but I don't think that any of these big publishers are going to happen. We shall see. I think they will go and get smaller studios, and I truly believe that one thing that they are very, very heavily investigating are Crystal and Eidos Montreal, from buying them back from Embracer, because obviously Embracer is in deep trouble. They closed so many studios over the last 6 months. They reduced the staff in so many studios. They overdid themselves. They obviously can't handle those big IPs. And with Crystal, they have a very close relationship. Obviously, Daryl Gallagher was the former studio head and is now working as a studio head of the Initiative. And they collaborate with Crystal to make a Perfect Dark. So obviously, there's a very strong relationship. And Eidos is helping out with Fable, and so yeah, I could see that happening next, honestly, if anything. But it felt to me that Phil was kind of relieved that this acquisition thing is now over, and Maybe they just need a little room to breathe and actually focus on integrating them and setting out new strategies before like going out on another shopping spree. I don't know. But I would love them to save Crystal and Eidos from Embracer before they close those two studios, because I am also a big fan of Tomb Raider, man. And I don't want Embracer to fuck that up, honestly.
Yep. Another quick shout out here to Fantosa, who's also donated to the charity, who £20 plus £5 gifted. So thank you very much, Fantosa, for the £25 donation there in total. Much appreciated.
Shout out. Definitely. Ron TJ follows up with a $5 super chat. Thank you, man. And he says, remember, they now own 44 studios, including support studios, and they just took on 20,000 employees. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They basically doubled overnight. And it's not like ABK is not like a company like Bethesda. Bethesda is a well-oiled machine. Yeah, they have very similar culture in general, like Xbox has or Microsoft has, and ABK obviously didn't. Yeah, I mean, you see all the lawsuits going on, you see the cultural problems that they have, and like TJ says, they doubled overnight, and changing culture, changing mentality, changing certain business strategies is really, really tough. That takes time. That takes a lot of effort, especially from the managers. And so they have their hand full now. I can guarantee you that. That's always what I say. When I think about the ABK deal, that's kind of also the one thing that I'm a little concerned about, because we have seen Xbox getting distracted by certain things over the last couple of years. Yeah, it was obviously when they moved over to PC, they kind of moved away the focus from the console. We have seen that certain things like Redfall, yeah, where they openly admitted, okay, we should have taken care of that, but we didn't. So I wonder what happens now when they look into mobile more, yeah, and will we see like a shift of focus there, yeah? Because at the very end of the day, even Phil is only a man. He's a great man, one of the shining lights in the executive region in the gaming industry, but also his, he can do only so much. But yeah, we shall see. We will talk about a lot of things because you mentioned also a couple of things in the interview, but I need to catch up on some super. Pyromat sends in a £2 super chat and says, if Xbox bought Warner Bros. Studios, they wouldn't get the IP. Yeah, I've heard that. That's the thing. The IP is not owned by the gaming division of Warner Brothers, so it's the mother company. So, and Warner Brothers isn't looking for sale. They are as an entire, as well in the movie business and the entire entertainment company. It's always just a rumor about them wanting to sell off some of the gaming divisions. And honestly, I feel like when I think about Warner Brothers, what kind of studios do they really have that have this AAA banger blockbuster? They had their big fair share now with Hogwarts Legacy earlier this year. A studio that was definitely not known for AAA development. Absolutely not. And they might be now. But other than that, and I'm blanking on the name of the studio that made Hogwarts. Sorry. Great game, though. They have Rocksteady.
It was a studio... I'll look into it, because it was a studio that everybody thought it was, but it was the studio that sounds the same.
Yeah.
It's by Portkey Games, but it's also by Avalanche Software. Avalanche Software and Portkey Games.
And everyone was thinking Avalanche Studios, yeah, but that's
The different
exactly
Avalanche,
yeah. The different Avalanche.
And they actually
So,
didn't have a
yeah, they
history
have
of anything
them-
big. They had like small titles.
very very small titles. That was so surprising about that game. They knocked it out of the park with that one. So even if you consider them now being AAA, like what other big studios do they have? Rocksteady, obviously, with the Arkham games. But then you look at Suicide Squad and that perception, even though we two both thought it looked fun, yeah. I really think that the gaming division could be like a make or break for them, with Rocksteady hitting Suicide Squad next year. I don't know if Suicide Squad fails. I don't know how Warner Brothers would look at that, because that took them what now? I want to say 9 years in 24 to make that game. I think when was Arkham City? Not Arkham City. Arkham Knight. 2015. So every 8 or 9 years, getting one AAA game out of Rocksteady and then not hitting. So I feel like this is because what other big studio do you think? Can you think of any other bigger AAA studio in the Warner Brothers division?
No, not really.
Not really, right?
Nope.
Yeah. So that's really the question there. How will they handle that if that game doesn't hit? Their gaming division is outside of Hogwarts and Portkey games, basically non-existent anymore. So yeah, I could see them sell then off that gaming division, but if Microsoft or anyone else would buy them, they would not own the IP, and that's what you're after, right? When you look at
So
Warner Brothers,
Warner Brothers
after the
have
IP.
Avalanche Software, Monolith, NetherRealm, Portkey, Rocksteady.
NetherRealm,
Yeah.
right? NetherRealm.
Yeah.
That's also Warner
Mortal
Brothers.
Kombat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mortal
TT
Kombat.
Games,
True.
Warner Brother Games Montreal, Warner Brother Games Boston, Warner Brother Games New York. So they've got TT, Rocksteady, Portkey, NetherRealm, Monolith, and Avalanche. In terms of products that they have, includes the Batman Arkham series, the Fear series, the Injustice series, the Lego series, the Middle Earth series, the Mortal Kombat series, and of course Hogwarts.
Yeah, but even Monolith, they made the Shadow of Mordor games. Yeah, and they are working on the Wonder Woman game.
Yeah,
that's something. Yeah, but it also takes a long time for them to make those kind of games. So yeah. So Toronto J says for $2 super chat, thank you, man. The reason why you buy all Warner Bros. You get DC. Yeah, but then Microsoft would need also to go into the like movie and TV business, and I don't think that they have any intention to do so. So you would buy off probably that and then license out the IP, which Xbox traditionally isn't a big fan of, which I don't think is good. They should look into pop culture IP. Definitely, it's a magnet. Yeah, you see the hype around Spider-Man because, well, the game is probably going to be a good one, but it just pulled. It's a pull factor for your brand, and Microsoft should get DC, man. Wonder Woman would be an absolute blast to have that as a like kind of an exclusive or even a Game Pass Day One drop or something. Why haven't we heard anything about Wonder Woman? Because what they have said about the game, they have only shown the teaser trailer, but they've said about the game, it sounded fantastic, man. It sounded like it's been in the works for a couple of years when they announced it in 2021, I want to say. They will have the Nemesis system in there, which is, I thought, fantastic from the Shadow of Mordor games. You could complain about a couple of things there, but in general, I love the idea, and no one else has picked that idea up, and they will port that over to Wonder Woman. So, yeah, I don't know, man. What's going on with Wonder Woman?
God knows. I have absolutely no idea. It's one of the many games that have just went into the abyss and we've never heard of from months on end.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, true. So, how did we end up there? TJ, that was one of your supers.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's get back to the Phil Spencer interview. He also mentioned that he's going to visit all the teams now. He's actually right now over there in Sweden and visiting King, because he literally mentioned them, that he doesn't know them too well. Yeah, because obviously Xbox is not a like mobile developer so far. Then he's also going to visit, of course, Activision and Blizzard. He's probably a lot more familiar with them, especially since he knows like Mike Ibarra and so on very well. So, yeah, he talked also a lot about that being very important for him, that he wants to visit those teams and listen to them. What do you think, man? What's his intention there? Where do you think this is going?
Yeah, I think he set his intentions out there. He said it's pretty open for these studios to come forward and tell them what they want to work on, essentially. Which is good to hear. He's given them free
Yeah.
room really to work on whatever they want to work on, and they'll look at things and then greenlight it as they go. And it might not necessarily, some things might not work, some things might, but they'll kind of work through what they're being proposed by these studios. But it's far more flexibility than any of these studios have had before, so it's
Yeah.
definitely interesting to see where that'll go.
I totally agree there. I mean, especially on that point that you mentioned, that he said he wants to listen to what the teams want to do, especially when he was asked about starting the reboots of IP, because obviously we did it on this podcast, a lot of other podcasts did it. The community is doing it constantly on the socials. What IP should they bring back and reboot? Yeah, obviously, I don't know. For me, always StarCraft comes obviously to mind. Yeah, I want to see that StarCraft Ghost game actually come to reality. But I also want them to revisit games like Pitfall. There are a lot of IPs, from the Sierra era. Like, I would love to see an adventure game like Sorg brought back to the modern day era. Tony Hawk comes to mind. You could speculate about a lot of things, but he made it very clear. Rebooting IPs depends really on what the teams want to do.
Yeah.
So it's not going to go out there and say, okay, you guys have to do now the new next StarCraft or the next Pitfall or whatever. So, yeah, what do you think? How will this turn out? Will we actually see that many reboots? Will the teams pick that up? And what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, he's mentioned a few of them, including Guitar Hero, which has been touted quite a bit. But yeah, I like that approach where he's like, you're not forced to work on old IPs, but if you want to work on them, you can come forward and we're absolutely open to letting anybody work on what they want to work on. So I like that approach. That's what we want to see from these studios now, because they've been kind of under the caution and working on, a lot of them have been forced to work on Call of Duty for years on end. So it'd be nice to see them given a little bit of free room to work on something else now. Maybe it's a new IP, maybe it's existing IP. We'll never know, but it's a good first step.
On that note, on that note, do you think that the Toys for Bob and so on, where we all feel like, oh man, why are they working on Call of Duty? Such talented developers wasted on Call of Duty. Not that Call of Duty is bad by any means, but the annual thing. basically forced Activision to do put those developers on Call of Duty. So there are two ways you can approach that now. You can either, and we put up a poll in the chat, by the way, to ask you guys that if Xbox should shift away from the yearly release to biannual release or something, to free up those resources, because I'm not seeing them actively pull those developers away from that money printing machine that is Call of Duty, for multiple reasons. Obviously, money, yeah. It's like every year one of the most successful games each and every year. And the other thing is, of course, also like the public reception. Can you imagine if they announce in December, oh, okay, we are not doing Call of Duty anymore on a yearly basis, so it will come out every other year or every 3 years or something. I mean, as hardcore gamers, we would probably applaud, but the outcry would be Microsoft killing Call of Duty. You know, you can already see the headlines. I don't see that happening. So what they would have to do is go into the teams and say, okay, build an extra team to do the game you want to do, or how do you think about this? I'm really not sure how much. It's always easy to say, oh yeah, we let the teams do what they want, but hey, you're still working on Call of Duty, right? So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, you don't need every one of them. They've already got like 3 dedicated studios to Call of Duty, so just keep them but in rotation. You don't need the remaining studios to work on Call of Duty, especially Toys for Bob. I mean, they've done tremendous work on Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and games like that, so they're clearly talented in what they've done and reimagining these older titles, so they'd be better to use on something like that elsewhere in the portfolio, and Microsoft have got a lot of older titles that could deal with do with the work that they're able to produce. So yeah, even though Call of Duty is a cash cow, I think 2 or 3 studios working on Call of Duty is more than enough already. And especially if they're planning to kind of reduce that Call of Duty output to like once every 2 years or once every whatever it is. And again, you don't need to worry about dropping an annual Call of Duty because their money's made in microtransactions. So as long as they're feeding the Warzone and the multiplayer segments of that throughout those 2-year periods with updates and maps and weapons and stuff, it doesn't matter if a mainline drops or not. They're still getting bucket loads of money. So, yeah, I think on that side, I think it doesn't matter whether or not you've got 2 or 3 studios working on Call of Duty now or 7. I think it's better enough to take 4 or 5 of those studios and get them to work on something else other than Call of Duty. Revitalize the workforce. Doesn't mean they can't work on it again in the future. It just means it's not necessary right now. Call of Duty can stand on its own 2 feet with 2 studios working on it.
I'm not sure if I would agree necessarily, because Toys for Bob and all the others that support the 3 main studios that they do have on rotation, there's always like Infinity Ward and the main studios, and the others are basically the support studios. They're not supporting because the main studios can handle Call of Duty on their own. It's just the fact why they pulled every other IP and put everything that they have on Call of Duty. And if you want to keep that schedule, you kind of have to keep that workforce intact. There are definitely probably ways to make it more efficient. Yeah. But I don't see them pulling away studios like Toys for Bob. If they come tomorrow and say, we are not going to work on Call of Duty anymore, and then the next studio comes and we are not working on it either, just because we don't want to. I don't think that this. But I hope I'm wrong, because I want to see those studios do what they actually want to do, and give us those IPs. But yeah, we shall see. I don't think that we will see those kind of announcements anytime soon. So it will probably be a while until we hear more about other IPs being worked on and how it will turn out. So yeah, we shall see, man. We shall see. What else did Phil mention in the interview? He also talked a lot about mobile, and he said like he doesn't want to turn like every major Xbox IP now into mobile games. That's not his intention. But he also made it clear that mobile is part of their strategy going forward. He phrased it the way that he said, if you want to stay relevant in the wider gaming industry in the future, you kind of have to be on the platform where most people play games, and that's obviously mobile. So yeah, he didn't go into any more specifics about their mobile plans, but we also had the confirmation from Tom Warren earlier this week that the Xbox Mobile Store is still due in 2024. Yeah. So what do you think? What will be the mobile strategy of Phil Spencer and Team Xbox?
I think it's a mixture of a couple of things. I think obviously there's a few of the juggernauts I've already got with King that won't be moved to likes of, I don't know whether it's got Bejeweled or whatever it's called.
Candy Crush.
That's it. They won't be moved. They're raking in billions. If you think Call of Duty makes money, Candy Crush makes more.
Yeah.
So it's I think I'm kind of in line with Phil's words there. He doesn't want to make everything into a mobile IP because it doesn't transfer. It doesn't always transfer well, and it's proved obvious there. It's clearly not proved the most advantageous previously. The likes of Gears Pop and stuff like that have been out previously haven't really done all too well when it's been on mobile. So yeah, it's just about finding what kind of games would work and how they would work as a mobile game, or whether or not you just make an actual native mobile game. That's a bit like AAA. So if you have a look at the likes of Warzone Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile, or PUBG Mobile and things like that, they're native versions of a regular Call of Duty for handheld. So maybe he's looking at doing something a little bit more AAA on the mobile space because it does work, and we've seen that along with RPGs as well. There's been a lot of RPGs that have transferred very well onto mobile. So depends. It depends. Mobile's not an easy one to crack because mobile audience is not an easy. You can easily get millions of downloads on mobile, but it doesn't necessarily transfer into being successful.
Yeah.
Like a regular app can get 100,000 downloads and no problem. Absolutely no problem whatsoever on mobile because there's billions of devices. So
yeah.
It's an entirely different ballpark. So yeah, it's a very different market to try and analyze and try to crack. You can get a couple of million downloads and it doesn't translate into profitability. So we'll see.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. I don't think, honestly, that we will, how do I phrase that, see like a major shift in when it comes to mobile gaming in terms of that we notice that as the console and PC gamer. We are not, and probably a lot of people that are in the chat here as well and listen to us on Spotify and Google Podcasts or and Apple Podcast don't play that much on mobile. I could be wrong. If so, let us know in the chat, or in the comments. But so I don't think that we will immediately notice it. But yeah, the store, that they built their own storefront, especially on the Apple ecosystem, is something that we've been hearing a lot about. I think that they will try to do it that way, definitely. Put Candy Crush or even Diablo. Yeah, Blizzard has also released like very successful mobile games, like exclusive there. You could get others to join, like Genshin Impact. They had their arguments with especially Apple, yeah, because they allowed like to purchase on their website stuff that you then could use in game on your iOS device, and basically cutting out Apple. So they had their argument. I see that they could go for that. We know that Epic is also very against, very much against these policies from Apple and Google, and I could see them joining like the Microsoft App Store or whatever it will be called. But I think we as the core gamers on PC and console will basically not notice it. I could see them implement those kind of games like Candy Crush with achievements or something, like tie them into the ecosystem that way. And I wonder if they are going to do something like Gamepass on mobile. I could also see that there will be another tier that will add mobile Game Pass, yeah, to some degree. But yeah, I'm not thinking about it that way, because I've seen a lot of people out there say, "Oh, what if they turn Ninja Theory or Playground or whatnot, or even some of the Bethesda studios suddenly into mobile developers?" I don't think that this is going to happen. That's not their intention. So yeah, couldn't care less personally, because I'm not playing on mobile. I play on everything, but not mobile. I have PC. I have the PC. I have the Nintendo Switch, Xbox, obviously, and PlayStation, and I love to play on all of them. I have the Rock Ally if I need to do mobile gaming, but I don't do it on my phone. I just not for me. So yeah, man. What else? Before we hang on, one thing, because Tronty J kindly reminded everyone in the chat to hit the like button, and people always tell me that I don't remind people enough to hit the like button here. And I don't want to interrupt the show and the flow for the likes, but obviously it would be awesome to get a few more hits here on the like button, actually in both our channels. So yeah, if you do enjoy the show, please hit the like button, and if you're new here, consider subscribing. We have this show each and every week, and we try to provide you with some good content here and good conversation. And so yeah, if you do enjoy, hit the subscribe button. But yeah, Dutch, anything else you want to mention out of the Phil Spencer interview before we move on to one of the other topics that we have this week?
No, I think I'm good.
Right. All right. So yeah, let's move on. Something very interesting happened about the PS5 Pro, man. We had the rumor that this is coming next year, fall next year. We had the rumors. Tom Henderson obviously leaked that a while ago, and yeah, it is very interesting to see, because the specs of that PlayStation 5 Pro actually leaked this week. So take it with a grain of salt, obviously. You never know. But a few days back, Red Gaming Tech actually reported on that. And so here is what is apparently in the PS5 Pro. They will stick to the Zen 2 CPU architecture, and they have a 8-core Zen 2 CPU in there. So that's basically what we have right now. We have a 8-core Zen 2 CPU in Xbox and the PlayStation. They will have but they will change the GPU. They move over to an RDNA3 hybrid architecture with 60 compute units running somewhere in between 2500 and 2800 megahertz. The clock speeds are not locked in yet. Yeah, so but yeah, 60 compute units. So they bumped that up because that was basically the one of the major differences between the approach from Xbox, the Xbox Series console, and the PS5 Pro. While Sony significantly increased the clock speeds, they had less compute units. While on the Xbox Series X, you had slower clock speeds, but already 52 compute units. So they bump that up and they go to the RDNA3 hybrid architecture there. And here comes the bummer, Dutch. They'll stick with the 16 gigabyte RAM. So according to this leak, no increase in RAM. However, they will have GDDR6 memory at 18,000 mega transfers per second, which is a significantly faster RAM that they have right now in the PS5. So not more, but faster RAM. And that's probably, I would have to guess, due to the Tempest engine performance and the two shader engines that they have. So yeah, what do you think about all these specs before I give my spiel? Does this intrigue you? Do you think this is exactly what we need in a mid-gen refresh console? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, quick shout out as well to Junk Mail there for the €10 super chat, who simply says liked. So thank you very much for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, we mentioned this. I think the one thing both consoles need is more RAM. I've mentioned one of the first things you do on any gaming PC or any PC build that you do, regardless of what the specs of those RAM are. You can have 16 gig of RAM at 3400 megahertz. You can have it 4000 meg, whatever you have. It makes no difference. It's the amount of RAM available. It's the amount of memory available to the computer in order to do its tasks. And when you're multitasking, which a lot of these consoles now do, you have many things running simultaneously, whether it be streaming or party chats or having your game running or recording or whatever it is you do on the console. It's requiring multiple things to do multiple things. So there is always a little stored section of that memory that's always partitioned off for background tasks. So you're not even getting the 16 gig. You're probably getting anywhere between maybe 14 and 12 gig of RAM, when it's been part of it's been partitioned off for system memory. So then what you've got left over for actual game memory is again, like I say, the 12 or 14 gig, which is not enough these days, especially to have that overhead performance. So it's a disappointment to see that if true, would be looking at another 16 gig console. Personally, I think these consoles now should be at 32 gig. And it's not a big enough jump. We've spoke about this before again. It's looking at maybe RDNA 3. That's not good enough.
You're not thinking that the speed boost in the memory with the 18,000 mega transfers per second is gonna help out?
Nah, not really. Not really.
I agree, but I just wanted to make
Yeah.
clear. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I think more memory would have been the better option here. You don't need the same memory with higher clock speeds. I don't think that'll help anything. It makes no difference. I think you need more memory available for these machines, and it's not costly. We know that, and they've already been shady as it is anyway, releasing these new refreshed versions of the current consoles at a higher price, despite being less to make. So they're already being dodgy. I think they could quite easily increase the memory there and still have it probably the same price as the original console was.
Yeah. So what about GPU and CPU?
Yeah, again, it's I don't see them as major boosts, to be honest. An okay increase. I mentioned they're going to RDNA 3, which I think is a bit strange, considering as we know
And it's especially since it's apparently the hybrid version.
yeah,
So and AMD has this line where they are not full. Well, yeah, they're not going fully RDNA 3. They basically use the RDNA 3 architecture on the compute units, but everything else still runs on the RDNA 2 architecture.
yeah,
So yeah, not a major boost. I mean, 60 compute units, depending, of course, on the clock speeds they choose, is a significant increase over the 32 compute units that they have right now. If they lower the clock speeds, which I would assume they do, because you want to make it, first of all, you can't make it any larger. You can't make it your home console any larger than the PS5 already is. So they have to reduce the form factor there. And at the same time, they have had a lot of issues with the liquid metal cooling that they used, which at least what they said. I still believe you could have done it differently, but they said they needed that to have those higher clock speeds. So I'm not sure if you go 60 compute units at the same clock speed that they have right now in the PS5, which is I don't remember exactly. I think it's 2.6 gigahertz or something, which is pretty high for a GPU already. I don't think that this is the way to go. Then if you have 60 compute units, you probably will reduce the clock speed. So yeah, we shall see how much of a bump that really gives them on the GPU side of things. But since the GPU is obviously the one of the weakest points on the system right now, this is at least an improvement there. What about the CPU? What do you think about that?
what were the specs on the CPU again?
They stay with the Zen 2, 8 core,
Terrible,
8 core Zen 2
terrible,
CPU.
terrible. Why would you stick with the Zen 2 CPU? Why?
Yeah,
Why?
I don't know. Could be compatibility. You kind of
Yeah, but
if you
that's
move.
but come on. Does PC have issues with the compatibility on Zen 2 to Zen 4 games?
No,
Well, there we go.
no, it doesn't. I'm not defending it. I'm saying.
No, I
Yeah.
think it's just
If you want to
lazy.
make the
I think
life
it's
as
just
easy
Sony
as
being
possible
lazy.
for developers.
I just think it's
Yeah.
Sony being lazy. I honestly do. I think it's cost-cutting measures in order to maximize profits and minimize expenditure,
Yeah.
whilst getting some form of boost to the output. But I don't think it's
Yeah.
anything that's going to benefit really the consumers. And I did mention this before, unless it was something substantial. In terms of performance output for the PlayStation 5 Pro, it's not something I'll be investing in. As it stands, there is nothing that says on paper that's going to show a substantial output and performance increase to me. That doesn't look like it's going to do it.
I do totally agree here. Assuming, of course, that these specs are the actual specs. If that's true, I don't think that this is the necessary bump you need in a mid-gen refresh upgrade in the year 2024. Simply for the fact, what are the issues right now? What are the issues with console games right now? There are two things. The first thing is we tend or seem to go back to 30 FPS. In a lot of games, we've seen it with first-party publishers, with third-party publishers, like the aforementioned Gotham Knights. Yeah, great game, but only 30 FPS on console, no performance mode, no intention to even upgrade that. We've had on the Xbox side of things, of course, Starfield lately, where we discussed this and so on. And I think, and there are a lot of other examples. Yeah, now lots of the Fallen running like crap on consoles, and especially now that we move away from cross-gen games into true current-gen games, we see that these consoles are not really up to deliver a consistent 60 FPS experience, which should be the standard. So what would I expect from a mid-gen upgrade? Obviously solve that problem that we see, and it's not an Xbox only problem. Also, just saying this is what we see now, right now. And you could always argue, yeah, the tools are not used or whatnot, but this is what we've seen, and we've discussed this intensively in previous podcasts. So if I want a mid-gen upgrade, I want to see them deliver consistently and really make it the standard 60 FPS, and sticking with an 8-core Zen 2 CPU, which you already have right now in the PlayStation, wouldn't do the trick there, especially since the CPUs are like kind of still are the weakest point of those consoles that we have right now, because Zen 2 was the only part in the consoles that was not like, state of the art when the consoles launched. We already had Zen 3 CPUs, and now we have Zen 4 out there in the market. We have the Zen 4 CPUs there. In 24, we are talking here about a mid-gen upgrade that still uses the same CPU architecture that was like 5-6 years. When did Zen 2 come out? 2019, if I remember correctly. Someone in the chat might correct me, but that's when the Zen 2 architecture launched, early 2019, if I remember correctly. And now we are in 24, and we're still using the same architecture, when that is exactly the thing that the mid-gen upgrade should fix and give us better frames. So that's the one part. That if I look at these specs, then of course you mentioned the memory pool. Like, I don't think that the speed of the RAM that we have right now, the DDR5 modules in there, are the problem. And there might be certain instances out there where games would benefit from a faster RAM, but the size matters, Dutch. Size matters here. And 16 gigs is like the minimum requirement on so many games already out there on PC. And we are still, and it's different on console. I get that. I totally get that. But then again, like you already mentioned, certain amount, 3 to 4 gigs, are used for the operating system, and what's left for the game. And that's the difference towards PC, because on PC we don't have the shared memory pool. We have dedicated video on the GPUs. We have dedicated video memory pool. Yeah, so that's the difference in between the APU approach that consoles take. So it's really different there. And then adding up on that, yeah, that's exactly the thing where we see performance increase. Where's the bottleneck? And 16 gigs are a bottleneck. And in a year 24, if you want to have a performance system, you would never build a PC with only 16 if you're going for performance. So yeah, on the GPU side of things, I know that AMD is having a couple of issues with launching the RDNA 4 architecture. So it could be just simply a timing thing there. Why not go there? But then and stick with RDNA 3, which is already out, which has been proven to be a major improvement over RDNA 2. That's cool, and I'm happy that my ROG Ally, for instance, is a full RDNA 3 GPU, which is cool and good, more efficient architecture, absolutely. But it's not full RDNA 3. It's again this hybrid thing. You kind of remember the talk about the base PS5, not having the full RDNA 2 architecture, and I can't really judge because they didn't specify in the leak anything about what the hybrid really is. But if it's what I described earlier, which AMD has actually in their lineup for certain markets, this hybrid architecture where you basically have only the CUs running on the new architecture, and the rest of GPU is basically still RDNA 2. If that's the case in this case, I don't really see the big improvement. A couple of more compute units, yeah, but I don't know. When I'm a lot of that remember as me about the PS5 Pro, PS4 Pro, because if I think back at the PS4 Pro, the jump from the base PS4 to the PS4 Pro didn't feel as significant as the jump we had from the base Xbox One X to the Xbox One X. And there are two reasons for that. Obviously, was the One X was slightly less powerful than the PS4 already, so there was part of the gap, but I think that's the smaller thing. The bigger thing is, what did the Pro models try to do? The Pro models in the last gen tried to do 4K, and most PS4 games, PS4 Pro games, actually only delivered 1440p. So it's not that we got the jump to native 4K at the same frames. We had that way more often with the One X. The One X had a significantly stronger GPU, and even the One X didn't achieve on a regular basis like native 4K, we got a lot closer to that. There was in many two. Remember Red Dead Redemption 2? Yeah, running on PS4 Pro or One X, there was a night and day difference, and so this jump from PS4 to PS4 Pro kind of reminds me about this now, yeah, where we see like minor improvements. Yeah, we will probably see a bit better resolution with that, yeah, with that better GPU. We will see that. If you look at the tech comparisons right now, yeah, that's where the PS5 falls most of the time behind the Xbox Series X. They have a few less pixels, but honestly, I don't think that this is the problem. The problem right now with consoles again are frames, consistent frames, and what would I want out of this? It's exactly that. And with those kind of specs, we might see smaller improvements, but it's not the leap that we want after 4 years for 4 years of tech development. That's the gap we have in between 22 pardon me, in between 2020 and 2024, when between the two systems. 4 years in technology is a lot, and I don't see that in those specs, if those specs of course turn out to be true. So, and then obviously the price point comes in. So I don't know, where do you see them placing that price point?
Well, based on the refreshed versions of the older models at a higher price, probably we're talking about 600.
I would agree. I mean, we are already at 550, right?
Yeah.
At least outside of the US, on a global scale, we are already at 550. So, and with the way how Sony is pricing lately, I don't see them releasing the Pro under 600. Even I could even see them go for 650 or so. Yeah, and then the excuse will be inflation or something. I don't know, but yeah, looking at those specs, I don't know about you, but I would have hoped for more. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely would have hoped
Yeah.
for more personally.
So yeah, let's see. I don't see that being like the thing we need. And if we
Nope.
look at that, and Xbox does not have an answer to that PS5 Pro, it might not even be that so bad like we painted the picture a couple of weeks ago when we had the big Xbox leak
Yep.
and said, and I stand by it. I still think it's not a good idea to not have a mid-gen upgrade. But if you do a mid-gen upgrade, don't do it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like an incremental thing
that-
that doesn't make much difference. And we said, unless it was something that's going to be substantial, don't
Yeah.
bother. And PlayStation haven't done anything substantial. It's not really going to improve anything. Not detrimentally.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see. Again, clock speeds are not locked in yet, according to this leak, and that is not unusual. It's like a very last minute thing you do when you can see, okay, how far can we push the system, and for like we have higher failure rate of the chips on average, and you do need to do a lot of testing for that. And so yeah, we shall see. Maybe they surprise us with the clock speeds, and there will be like an improvement, an actual noticeable improvement thanks to that fact. But from this leak, I don't see this as a big improvement, and the improvement we all want right there. So yeah, let's see if this turns out to be true. Let's stay on PlayStation for a second. There was a patent going around earlier this week where PlayStation has patented a controller that stores and charges wireless earbuds, PlayStation branded earbuds that you can basically charge there in your controller. So I've seen a lot of discussion about that. That Sony is kind of going into that Apple direction, where you have like all these accessories, and could argue, yeah, Xbox is also doing like headphones and controllers and elite controllers and things like that. But it's obviously kind of different because I know exactly what this argument is all about. They released their handheld, which isn't really a handheld, which is a streaming device, and a streaming device that you can only use in your own Wi-Fi in your own home. They released that kind of hardware. They obviously had earlier this year the PSVR 2. They have the earbuds coming and stuff like that. And it kind of looks like they are trying to experiment and go into this direction, similar to Apple, where they sell you basically the same device 3 times over. So Apple has the iPhone, then they have the mini iPad and the largely bigger iPad, and then the iMac, which is basically the iPad but with a keyboard. And obviously it kind of looks like they are going into that direction. Do you think that this is a valid argument or different? Is it different here with Sony, and do you like it? What are your thoughts on this, man?
And what was that, sorry?
So, I've been talking too much, obviously, if you're not paying attention here anymore. Sony going
the Apple route, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't put it past them, to be honest. Now, you've mentioned, of course, Xbox have got a lot of peripherals and things like that, but there's a difference between, I think, partitioning off something that should come standard with your consoles, like a stand, to selling like earbuds. Like, leave that to third party. I can understand you selling your own headphones, gaming headset, but earbuds? And then what you're going to charge for them? Like 150, 200? And then, of course, you've just made all these plates that are not valid with the new console you're bringing out. So it's like it's hard to know. We know Xbox are gonna continue to have a bunch of peripherals themselves, but they've largely kept those to things like looking to see how console wraps do as a method of customizing your console without customizing it permanently. Then they've got a bunch of controllers. They've got a couple of headphones, but they've usually kept it mostly cosmetic, with the occasional kind of add-on for you, such as the expansion cards or the headphones or a brand new controller or something like that. But we haven't seen them go into the realms of creating like a brand new Series X stand that you buy separately because they don't give you a Series X stand with the Series X so it can stand up. And we haven't seen them do like exchangeable plates that doesn't work with another version of the console. So yeah, it's I don't put anything past Sony these days, to be honest. I don't.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The way we have seen them act over the last 2-3 years, it's kind of hard to not have that in the back of your head. Even if something good is coming out, yeah, you always kind of think like, okay, is this really good? Is this like, or is this just another cash grab? Or that's basically what happens if you break the trust with the customers, right? So yeah, let's move on from Sony, and I want to talk to you and of course to the community about something that I'm not really sure right now how I think about it, and that is City Skylines 2. They have obviously delayed the console launch to next year, but it's coming out on PC, and they said up front that they are very well aware about performance issues on PC, and they have warned players about that. They said, we still think for the long term of the project, releasing it now is the best way forward. Basically saying, okay, our game is broken, but we'll release it anyway. This is the negative way to look at this. The positive way to look at this is, okay, at least they are being honest and upfront, honest about their issues upfront, letting people know, okay, if you buy the game at launch, you're gonna have performance issues. We're gonna try to work on them. It will be fixed somewhere in the future, but we're releasing it now. So, you know what I mean? You can look at this both ways. So I want to know your thoughts, and of course, everyone wants thoughts in the community here. About this. I'm really right now not so sure what to think about it, because I like honesty. I like when developers come out and not make you buy the game and then tell you, yeah, we know we have performance issues, we're trying to fix it, but being straight up, okay, but then on the other hand, I don't want developers to feel okay about launching a game not in the state because they're still charging you full price. So how do you feel about this, man?
Yeah, if any game is like that, where the game isn't working or it's full of bugs or it's got issues, then delay it. It's as simple as that. Like, it shouldn't be charging anybody anything. Have we not learned enough over the last couple of years about releasing broken games and then having to patch them afterwards? That you shouldn't be charging anybody money for a product that isn't technically sound when it releases. That isn't working as should be when it releases. You shouldn't be charging anybody any money for that. You delay the game, whether it be a month or 2 months, iron out those bugs, and then put it out. That's what it should be. No more, no less. I'll not be playing the game day one. I'll not be playing the game at all until it's been completely patched out. It's a good job it's going into Gamepass, because there shouldn't be. Honestly, there shouldn't be. And even then, it's just more ammo for people that want the Game Pass rhetoric. of games going into a service that are broke, and don't worry, you're not paying for it, so you don't have to worry. Shouldn't be the case. Whether it goes into a service or you're paying full price for it, games should work full stop on release.
What if the developers can't afford a delay? Because delays, that's the thing about game development. You have to put in a lot of money for a long time. You have to pay your entire staff. You have to rent out the rooms, the offices, the equipment, the licenses for software and whatnot. So it costs a lot of money to make games. What if they simply ran out of money? Because I have not seen this, and this is why I'm a little torn here. I do agree with you in general. I don't want games to launch with bugs and with performance issues and or lacking features and all the things that we have seen that kind of became the norm lately. Yeah, so many games launch not in a good state, but this is the first developer that right out addresses it up front. 2 weeks before the game comes out, they come out and say, "Hey, we warn you, our game will have issues," which is the thing that I do like about this. Being straight up, you don't lure people in to buy your game without knowing it, which is a positive and good way to look at it. But then again, I don't want that, and I don't know why they do it, but I can't think of any other game that did it like that, where the developer upfront says, "Hey, we warn you, our game is buggy and a mess." I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like the approach. I understand they might not have the money left to do it, etc. But they're gonna have even less money left when people don't buy the game because they know it's buggy or it breaks or they get refunds. Like, it's all well and good selling a bunch of copies, but if those people return those copies, then you're not making money anyway. So it's like you're kind of stuck in kind of catch-22 there.
I mean, they are making money simply for the fact that they launch also in Gamepass, right?
Yeah.
They make at least some money off of that, even if they wouldn't sell it because they want people. I don't know. Yeah, kind of a weird thing. But yeah, let's see how the game actually turns out to be. It looked really cool. I have to admit that it looked really, really cool. But yeah, speaking of messy games, by the way, I think Gollum was generally considered as one of the worst games that launched this year, and
Oh
apparently
God, that launched this year, did it?
It launched this year, yeah.
Yeah, God.
And there's now some other game takes that crown of being the most awful game this year.
King Kong.
Exactly.
Yeah, good. Yeah, God. I think that's by a studio. I'm sure that's by a renowned studio that makes these absolutely terrible, terrible games.
Yeah.
And I really don't understand how they're still allowed to make games. I don't.
I don't know either.
I really don't. Like, these are I've seen, like, literally one-man indies make something more polished in 2 days than this.
Yeah.
This studio has the nerve to charge people $40 for.
$50.
It's even worse.
It's a $50 game, yeah.
It's even worse. They should be investigated.
Yeah. It's I don't get it either. I know that, every studio has their hits and misses these days. Yeah, obviously, like look at Redfall. Redfall is probably it's definitely not a good game, at least in my opinion. I know there are a couple of people in our community that look at this different, but it's not like they make awful games.
If you
The studio
compared
has a
Redfall to Kong, God, Redfall may as well be, it's an absolute masterpiece in comparison to that game.
Absolutely, yeah, I totally agree. It's not you can't even. I just, that was not my intention to
Oh,
compare
yeah.
the two. What I meant is that like the studio generally makes good games. You know,
Yeah.
they Dishonored, Prey, and so on. And so every studio has their hits and misses. But with these kind of studios, the King Kong game, like you said, they I don't even understand how they can survive out there, how they get, like, you have to go through approval process. Even on Steam, there's at least, I mean, there are some god awful games on Steam, but you know, they're through some certification process out there, and it's like I don't get it either, man.
You see, it
But
baffles me
yeah,
how these games get through the cracks, and these and people go through the approval process of playing that game and thinking, yeah, that's good enough to charge. Like, these platforms should be sitting there and going, there's absolutely no way you're putting that price tag on that game.
Yeah.
Not a chance. There's shovelware with better gameplay with that, and that's what that game is. It's absolute shovelware.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, let's move away from King Kong, and everyone hopefully stays away from that.
Yes.
Really, I've seen some clips on Twitter, bro. Like, God, Lord, it's been a long time since I've seen something awful like that. It's really bad. It really is. But yeah, again, let's move away from that game. Pete Hines, Uncle Pete, is leaving Bethesda after 24 years. Phil Spencer wished him, of course, thanked him, wished him all the best. What do you make of this? Because I've seen people out there, obviously, Pete is not happy being under Xbox, and Xbox pushing out people and things like that. What do you think? What
He would have left.
about
He would have
this?
left with or without Xbox. To be honest, I think it's the same with Todd Howard. I think he's mentioned himself. He's got a couple of games left, a couple of big games left in him, and then that's him done. These people have been. I mean, he's been in the industry 24 years, man. It's a long time. It's a long time to be in the industry, and he's just stepping back, stepping out of it, retiring, and he's said himself spending time with his family. So, I mean, that doesn't mean he's permanently retired, because anybody can, and especially if you have a year out, 2 years out, sometimes you just get bored and you're like, you know what it is, I want to do something again. So it could be that we'll see him again at some capacity in the industry in the future, but right now he's just stepping back to rightfully spend time with his family after 24 years solid of being with Bethesda. So that's off to him, and all the best to him. But yeah, it's nothing major. He's in charge of, what was it again?
Bethesda marketing.
Marketing, yeah, it's a marketing department. So, I mean, it's not direct. It's not a direct impact on any of the games. It won't have an impact on any of the games that are coming out. And there's a lot of awesome marketing guys these days, especially at Bethesda. So I don't think they'll be massively impacted there either. I think they know what they're doing. They've got a good work rule. Once you've got a good kind of workflow and you've done the same thing for quite a while, that workflow becomes kind of second nature to the entire team. Never mind just the guy that's in charge of that team. So nothing will change. It's it'll all still work as is.
See, whilst I do agree with almost everything you said, I think there will be a couple of things that change. We've learned when we were at Gamescom, man, we learned that that Xbox is now looking into bringing like the two publishing and marketing departments closer together.
Yeah.
we actually met the lady on the Xbox side of things that is now in charge on Xbox side of things for Bethesda marketing and public relations, and well, very nice lady, by the way. And
Yeah.
we had a long conversation about those changes where when they acquired them. Basically in the middle of the pandemic, they kept things very separately. They left the entire organization as it is and let everything running, and now they try to bring that closer together. So there are certain things that will change, and I think now that after the Bethesda ZeniMax acquisition, they are moving out of that phase where people look at the releases as, oh, this is a Bethesda game, like Deathloop that didn't even launch it on Xbox in the first year, because of a previous agreement, and so they kind of kept that separate. And now you could really feel with Starfield being really marketed also as Xbox first party game, I think that in the future they will bring that together and closer together, that we don't look at this, oh, this is not an Xbox, this is a Bethesda game, but we look at this, oh, Bethesda is Xbox now. And there are certain things, probably especially on the publishing and marketing side, that will change. And who knows, after 24 years in the industry, what could be his reason to leave? Maybe he wants to do something else. Maybe it's something personally. Just looked at, hey, I made enough money, over the years. I want to have a better work-life balance, because being in such a leadership position usually comes with the sacrifice of your work-life balance. There are multiple reasons why he could have left. I don't think that there's any, like, people made it out to be kind of bad blood and Pete Hines does not want to work on the Xbox. I don't think it's that. He sees the organization is changing slowly. They are being more integrated, and he had his fair share of and impact on the gaming industry, and maybe he wants to just move on, like personal decision. I don't know, but I don't think that this is in any way, shape, or form like a like a warning signal, and what people on social mentioned it. So again, there are always many reasons why people switch jobs. I have switched jobs for private reasons. Nothing to do with the company or the job itself. The job was awesome, but there are so many reasons why people leave, and it's nothing special. And even managers sometimes switch jobs. So yeah, don't think that this is any way in any way, shape, or form like a warning signal or something. But yeah, Dutch, this almost brings us to the end of this week's podcast. I need to apologize to our community, man. I totally forgot to put out our weekly questionnaire about the community questions. I simply forgot. I have no excuse other than me being forgetful. And so I forgot to, usually I put out a post every Wednesday so people can write in the community questions, and we have each and every week a lot of really, really good and cool questions coming in, topics for us to discuss. And I simply have to apologize. I forgot to put out the poll, so no community questions this week. I promise that there will be community questions next week again. So that's why, Dutch, let's wrap this show up and let people know what you're working on, what you're coming up on your channel, and especially with the charity thing. Yeah, tell people, make some advertisement for that, man.
Yeah, so obviously from next month, from the 6th of November to the 12th of November, we're doing a charity drive for Special Effect. So we'll obviously any donations are greatly appreciated towards that. We've set a lofty goal of 1,500 this year. So and we've usually kind of hit around that mark every year. So fingers crossed, everybody can help and dig in towards that. But that'll be across multiple channels. So myself will be streaming. Vinny might be streaming as well, Patcher, and maybe a few others. And obviously myself, I'll be doing a couple of streams throughout the week on Twitch and YouTube, as well as a 24-hour marathon stream on the 11th till the 12th. So you can catch me on Twitch with that 24-hour marathon stream there. So that's Twitch TV/midweek mixup. And that's where you can find that. But other than that, of course, every Monday I'll be doing a game stream on YouTube. Every Tuesday I'll be doing a game stream on Twitch. Every Wednesday, hopefully, in the future, we'll be getting back to doing the podcast. If not, we'll be doing dual streams with Boxy again on Thursday. And then every Friday and Saturday, we'll be doing late night Twitch streams, again, gameplay. So, again, that's Twitch TV, it's twitch.tv/midweek mixup. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Sweet. And hopefully next week we have you back on camera again, bro. But yeah, looking forward to that charity stream marathon, and definitely put the link to all of that in the description here. But yeah, other than that, guys, it's a fantastic time to be a gamer. There are so many games out there to play right now. Gamepass is killing it. Lots of cool stuff coming there. Third parties are on fire, and Spider-Man 2 is on the horizon. I cannot wait to play that over the weekend. So it's really a fantastic time to be a gamer. So go out there, play some games, and make sure to catch us on the socials to talk about games. And other than that, we are back next week, Thursday, on the regular time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Europe, 7 p.m. UK time. Until then, have a great weekend, everyone. And I see you guys next week. And don't forget to game on.